If you've been feeling tired even after sleeping, distracted even when nothing is happening, or emotionally full without knowing why, there's a good chance your mind is quietly asking for something most people forget to give it: a break. Not a vacation, not quitting your job, not disappearing from life, just a real mental pause, the kind your brain rarely gets in a world that never stops talking, scrolling, notifying, and demanding attention. And the tricky part is your mind doesn't shout when it needs rest. It whispers. It sends small signals first, signals we usually ignore until they turn into bigger problems. So today, we're going to talk about 7 simple human signs your mind may need a break, what's really happening psychologically, and what you can gently do about it without changing your whole life. Let's start with something many people don't even realize is a sign. You feel busy, but not productive. You sit down to work, study, or even relax, and somehow time passes, but nothing feels finished. You open your laptop, then your phone, then a tab, then another tab, and suddenly an hour is gone, and your brain feels heavier instead of clearer. Psychologically, this happens when your mental resources are overloaded. Your brain uses attention like a battery. When too many small tasks compete at once, the battery drains faster than you notice. So instead of deep focus, your mind starts skimming everything. Imagine trying to listen to 5 conversations at the same time. You hear noise, but nothing sticks. That's what mental fatigue looks like. A real-life example is when someone sits to reply to emails but keeps rereading the same sentence without understanding it, or when you keep switching apps without remembering why you opened them. That's not laziness. That's your mind saying, I've been processing too much for too long. A small break, even 5 minutes without screens, helps your attention system reset. The brain works best in cycles, not nonstop marathons. Another quiet sign is when small things start irritating you more than they normally would. Someone chews too loudly, a notification feels annoying, a simple question feels like pressure. You're not angry, but you're easily bothered. Psychologically, this happens when your emotional regulation system is tired. Your brain normally filters reactions. It decides what's worth energy and what's not. But when you're mentally overloaded, that filter weakens. So everything feels closer, louder, heavier. Think of it like your mind's volume control breaking. A coworker asking, "Can you help me?" suddenly feels like a demand instead of a normal request. Or traffic that you'd usually ignore suddenly feels personal. This doesn't mean your personality changed. It means your mind doesn't have enough calm space to buffer emotions. When people take short mental pauses during the day, their nervous system gets a chance to soften again. Even something simple like stepping outside, breathing slowly, or letting your eyes rest on something natural helps bring emotional balance back online. Another important sign is when your thoughts start looping. You replay conversations. You imagine problems that haven't happened. You think about what you should have said, what might go wrong, what needs fixing. It feels like your brain is busy even when you're doing nothing. This is what psychologists call cognitive overload mixed with rumination. Your brain is designed to solve problems, but when it doesn't get downtime, it keeps searching for issues instead of resting. So your mind turns into a radio that won't shut off. A common example is lying in bed, physically tired but mentally wide awake, replaying the day like a movie you didn't ask to watch, or walking somewhere and realizing you didn't notice anything around you because you were trapped in your head. When the mind doesn't get breaks during the day, it tries to process everything at night. Giving yourself intentional mental space earlier, even 10 minutes without content, noise, or tasks, tells your brain it's safe to pause. Another sign your mind needs a break is when your memory feels worse than usual. You forget why you walked into a room. You reread messages multiple times. You struggle to recall names, details, or plans you normally wouldn't forget. This happens because memory and attention are partners. When attention is tired, memory encoding becomes sloppy. It's like trying to save files on a computer while the system is overloaded. Some things don't register properly. A relatable example is when someone keeps asking, "Did I already reply to that?" Or "Where did I put my phone?" while it's in their hand. Again, this isn't intelligence going away. It's mental capacity being temporarily stretched too thin. Breaks allow the hippocampus, the part of the brain involved in memory, to consolidate information instead of constantly chasing new input. Another subtle sign is emotional numbness, not sadness, not anxiety, just feeling flat. Things you normally enjoy feel neutral. Music doesn't hit the same. Conversations feel distant. You're present, but not really there. Psychologically, this happens when the brain protects itself from overload by lowering emotional sensitivity. It's like dimming the lights in a room to save power. The mind says, I can't process everything right now, so I'll feel less. People often confuse this with boredom or losing interest in life, but it's usually a sign of mental saturation. A real-life example is watching something funny and not laughing, even though you know it's funny. Or hanging out with friends and feeling like you're observing instead of participating. When the mind rests, emotional responsiveness slowly returns because the brain has space again to feel instead of just survive tasks. Another sign is when your body feels tired, but sleep doesn't fully help. You wake up still heavy. You feel drained even on days without much physical activity. That's mental fatigue showing up physically. Your brain uses energy just like muscles do. Decision-making, focusing, worrying, processing social situations, all of that costs fuel. When people say, I'm tired for no reason, there usually is a reason. The mind hasn't been off duty in a long time. A common example is someone who sits at a desk all day but feels more exhausted than someone who walked for hours. That's because mental work accumulates silently. Taking small mental breaks during the day, not just sleeping at night, prevents that invisible exhaustion from piling up. Another major sign is when motivation drops, even for simple things. You don't feel like starting tasks, not because you hate them, but because they feel heavier than they should. Your brain associates effort with cost. When the mind is overloaded, it starts protecting energy by reducing drive. It's like a phone switching to low power mode. So suddenly answering emails feels big, cleaning feels overwhelming, even choosing what to eat feels tiring. People often blame themselves, but psychologically, this is cons. Irritation mode. Your mind is saying resources are low. Let's slow down. When you respect that signal with short pauses instead of pushing harder, motivation returns naturally because the brain senses safety instead of pressure. Now, what does taking a mental break actually mean? It doesn't mean quitting responsibilities or escaping life. It means changing how your brain is stimulated for short periods. Most people think scrolling is rest, but scrolling still feeds your brain new information constantly. True mental rest is low input, low decision, low pressure time, things like sitting quietly, walking without headphones, breathing slowly, looking out a window, stretching, or letting your thoughts drift without forcing them. Even 5 to 10 minutes resets neural circuits related to attention and emotion. A powerful habit is what psychologists call transition breaks. Before moving from one task to another, pause for 1 minute. Breathe. Let your mind close the previous activity before opening the next one. Most people stack tasks with no space, which keeps the brain in permanent on mode. Another helpful practice is single tasking. Instead of watching something while texting, while thinking about something else, choose one thing. The mind relaxes when it doesn't have to split itself. Another gentle strategy is mental boundaries with technology. Not extreme rules, just awareness. For example, don't reach for your phone the second you wake up. Let your brain wake up naturally. Or take one short window during the day where you're unreachable. Your mind needs moments where nothing expects anything from it. Also, remember that rest is not wasted time. Productivity culture teaches people that stopping is bad, but the brain doesn't work like a machine. It works like a rhythm. Focus, then release. Effort, then recovery. Even athletes build recovery into training. Your mind deserves the same respect. If you recognize yourself in these signs, it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means your mind has been doing its job very well for a long time without enough space to breathe. Mental strength isn't about pushing nonstop. It's about knowing when to pause so you can move forward clearer, calmer, and healthier. So as you go through today, try giving your mind a small gift, not a big life change, just a few quiet minutes where nothing needs to be fixed, checked, answered, or optimized. Let your thoughts settle. Let your attention rest. You might be surprised how much lighter everything feels when your mind finally gets permission to slow down. And if this video helped you notice your own mental signals a little more clearly, take that as a good sign. Awareness is the first kind of rest your brain gets. If you found value here, gently support the channel by liking the video, subscribing, and sharing it with someone who might need a quiet reminder to pause too. And most importantly, take care of your mind the same way you take care of everything else in your life, with patience, respect, and room to breathe.